Hi there, guys. So this card is going to have some of these pieces. You're going to be looking for your designer series paper that looks like this. Okay. It's going to get cut to 4 inches wide. Okay. By 10 1/4 inches long. So you can just take off 1 3/4. Okay, off the bottom, like that. Okay, set that aside. You might want that for something else. Now this piece, we're going to do a little more cutting, but first let's do a little scoring. We're going to score this one at 2 1/2 inches from each end. Okay, so you're going to turn it, score at 2 1/2, like that. And you're going to turn this way and score 2 1/2 this way. Okay, so what this does is this is going to be your open and close piece, and your card base is just a 1/4 sheet, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that's kind of cool. All right, so just gonna have that. Okay, I know, doesn't meet in the middle. It's okay. All right, so now that you have that, what you're gonna do is make a couple of little tiny marks right in those score lines, and do it just off over here. I'm hoping you can still see that. I'm just making very small lines just at the very edge so I can see them. Okay, the other thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring that right back, but so that all those lines aren't confusing. So here's our 4-inch piece of cardstock. Okay, I'm going to move this so it's right to the very edge here. And what you want to do is mark the middle right at 2 inches with a tiny little mark. I think I went off the paper. I want it. You can barely see it. Let me bring it up. Can you see that? A little tiny mark right there. Okay, and we're going to do that again at the other end. So we're going to do some diagonal cuts. Okay, so we're going to make just a little tiny mark right there. So what you're going to want to do is line up that mark at the score line with that mark in the middle, and they're both going to want to be lined up in that cutting track. Okay. So we're just gonna, there we go. Just gonna cut that off. Now I might save these triangles because here's a couple that I had from before. You could do a layer with them. You could just do some corners on a layer. So don't get rid of your triangles. Okay, they may come in handy for another card. All right, so now we're gonna do this other side. We're gonna get both of our little teeny marks in that cutting groove. Okay, hold it firm and then just trim that triangle right off. Okay, so now you have a point. All right, now we're going to do this other end. There we go. Okay. I'm going to try and score down. There we go. All right, so now here's the open part of your card. Okay, we're pretty much done with that. Let me just see. Oh, this needs to be made smaller. This is not a inside piece yet. So we're going to go to 3. Let's go to 3 1/2. this will fit in nice. Okay. All right. So now this is going to go on the inside here. All right. So you're going to put your, now you can decide, you might like the blue, you know, you might want it this way. That's completely and totally up to you. I'm going to do mine this way. Okay. So now the adhesive is going to go on here like this. A little crooked. That's okay. I did a post on Instagram today about handcrafted cards. So if you're an Instagram person, you should check it out. And just that there's a lot of love and care that go into a handcrafted card, gift, all kinds of whatevers. And if you are lucky enough to be on the receiving end of one of those, you should definitely count yourself very lucky. Okay, so now what we need to do is you want to get your flap. This is what's going to hold your greeting and be the open and close. Now you want to be careful because you only want to glue it to one of your triangle flaps. Okay, because obviously if you glue it to both, you're not opening that card. Okay, so let's grab my silicone mat and let's do a little sort of eyeball measurement. So what I kind of want to see is those slanted sides going right in at that first scallop, because that gets us just about even on the bottom too. Okay, so what I kind of want to do is grab this and then just kind of flip this over like this. So I know that I'm roughly putting adhesive right here. Okay, you don't want it sticking out. Okay. Now we can put this on here. We can line it up with our here like that. Give it a little rub, and now that will open and close like that. Okay, then you've got a little white piece to put in the center there. We're still not stamping. This is still all just to give you the layers that we want. Okay, so your greeting is going to go on your little Sarhara sand piece. I'm going to choose to use soft suede ink, and I'm going to choose to use the happy birthday to my beautiful friend. Okay, I'm going to stamp that pretty much right in the center like that. Then we're going to just in from each side and to the top. Now we do have some punches. I know the triple banner punch went away, but there is a smaller banner punch that will do this for you. But really, if you just kind of eyeball to the top of that, it's really pretty close. Okay, you can get fairly symmetrical banners this way. Okay, it does take a little practice, which I have had a lot of. Okay, so then what you need are some of your shells. Okay, so we've got our banner. Now we need some shells down here. So I wanted to show you something that I made using the dies. So if you happen to have the dies or are going to get the dies, this will help a lot. So what I did was I cut this out with the dies, okay, like this. And then I laid all the stamps on their correct spots with the stamping side down, and then just folded this over so that it was sort of, so this is what happened. I had all the stamps lined up. I picked them up with the Stamparatus, and now they're all organized on my Stamparatus so that they will stamp to fit the die cuts. Now, with the die, you still are going to have to do some trimming because they come out all together, and we don't necessarily want them all together. If you don't happen to have the Stamparatus or the die cut, no worries, because all you have to do is stamp whatever shells you want and trim them out. But I am going to use the dies. Well, not this time. I'm not going to use the dies. I did use the dies earlier. But I am going to use the Stamparatus. So I am just going to stamp. I don't want a ton of ink on these. I want the shells to be pretty light. So I'm actually adding, I'm not sure if you can see this, I'm using Blushing Bride ink. And I'm just using a sponge dauber to put it on there with. Okay, like that. And then I think I'll do the smaller one, also in Blushing Bride. And I think that's good. So I'll add a little more ink because it's on there. Okay, then we're going to use, I have a Balmy blue ink spot, so I can use that. And we'll get this big one in Balmy blue. And I should be able to get this one and this one in Balmy blue as well. Like that. Then we're just going to put a good sized piece of, and before I lay this all the way down, I'm going to just double check that I'm where I want to be. And I am. So we're just going to put that there, put this here, and if you get motion sick, look away because I might wiggle because I'm giving this quite a lot of pressure. Okay. There. So now we have our shells. Okay. And just move that out of the way. So what we're going to do is pick a couple of our favorite shells. Okay. And trim them out. Now you don't have to be super fussy about them, and I think for this one I'm going to use this one here and this one here. I may add another smaller one, but I'm going to start with these two, I think. And I'm just going to, now I could, if I wanted, and it might make it easier, is to sort of rough cut. Okay, so a rough cut just gets them so there isn't quite so much excess around them, okay? And then that makes it a little easier as you're moving the paper. Your hand isn't bumping into a lot of scrap. So remember that you're going to move the paper, not the scissors, okay? You're not really moving the scissors real far. The scissors are pretty much staying in one place. And you're just going to kind of go around those shells. And like I said, if you happen to have the dies, go ahead and die cut them, but they will come out with all the seaweed and stuff. You'll still have to do a little trimming to get them loose because they'll all be together. Okay, so you may want, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's use this pretty Blushing Bride one. Get that out of the way. There we go. Alright, oops, did you hear the AC kick on in my studio? I'm filming at the studio today because I have tried to move a lot of my stuff back here. The stamp pads, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Trying to move it all back to the studio so that it's here. Which will make me have to come to the studio to get some work done and not be distracted at the house. All right, we're almost there. Tuck my thumb in so I don't keep bumping the bottom of the shell there. There we go. Okay, so we'll save those because I might use those shells on a different project. Okay, so then we have our shells, okay, and we have our banner. All right, whoops. So let's get those on there. Let's decide on the banner. The banner's going to go right up here near the top. So we'll just put some adhesive up there. Like that. Okay. And we'll there. There. Now, I'm not sure I love that, so I may put another shell there, or if I have something of a different color, I could put the starfish, or I could even try one of my stickers and see how that, oh yeah, that'll work. That helps. So, you know, you can do a combination of your stickers and your stamped shells, whatever works best. Now let's add a few of those opal rounds. Okay. Let's put one here. And then I'll put, maybe give this sea urchin one. So here we've got one leg of our triangle, and then we'll put the other one right down here. Excuse me, sorry about that. All right, so that's very pretty, I think. All right, so there you go.